Welcome to Military Mantra. In this interview, we have today Major Neeti Atri from the Indian Army. And this interview will try to understand her journey of joining the Indian Army, life in the Indian Army, and various life lessons that she had learned over service. So thanks a lot, ma'am, for coming on this interview and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, ma'am, my first question to you would be, how was your life before joining the Indian Army? And what was your motivation back then to join the Forge?
Right. Akash, the thing is that I would say it started pretty early because, as far as I can remember, the very clear visual of my thinking of joining defense forces or doing something for the country first began when probably I was in class fourth or fifth. And there was this day when me and my father, we were watching this movie, Shaheed, in which actor Manoj Kumar, he was portraying the role of Bhagat Singh. There was a scene in the movie wherein Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, and Rajguru, they are taken for execution, and the song "Mera Rang De Basanti Chola" is playing in the background. And after that song, when looked at my father, he was in tears, and I realized that even I was getting very emotional. And after that movie, that was the first time my father he told me that at a very young age he also wanted to join army, but due to certain medical conditions he could not. And then he narrated me stories of our village from where we belong to. Uh, we belong to a village called Samar Gopalpur in Haryana, which is in Rohtak district. So Samar Gopalpur has a railway station which connects it to the border areas of Rajasthan and Punjab. And he used to narrate me stories that whenever there used to be military special trains and they would stop at the railway station of our village. So, गांव के लोग, Haryana has a very proud culture of having Fauji's in almost every house. So all these people, they would take doodh, dahi, ghee, and they would give it to Fauji's, and they'll feel so good, serving the people who are serving the nation. तो वैसा वाला एक हमारा माहौल था हमेशा से that people in Haryana they look up to Fauji's. So when I started hearing those stories, I also felt like I would definitely one day join army. And it so happened that I was in class sixth when my mamaji he got commissioned in Air Force. So that was the guiding light. So that was the guiding light. I could see a path, as how one can join forces. And back those days, I was just in class six and I was growing up. I was a teenager, so I decided I would one day become a fighter pilot. And on those, those days, women were actually, no women had actually joined in the fight as a fighter pilot. So, but like fate has it, when I grew up, my height is very less. I want to tell it to all the girls who are short that one should not think about their height. So the minimum requirement for a flying pilot in Air Force is 165 centimeter, wherein I am 154 centimeters, so way less than the required height. Then later I decided that okay, fine, if I can't go to Air Force, I'll go to Army. But yes, I wanted to go to the uniformed services. So this is how the motivation and the took its way.
God, ma'am. So, ma'am, if you could also speak about your experience during the SSB and how did you prepare for various tests that happens? For example, the psychology, the GTO, and the interview. How did that went for you?
Yes. So, like I said, my uncle had already got commissioned in Air Force. So while I was preparing or preparing for CDS, though that was the time when I had just completed my BSc from Delhi University, and he only told me one thing that just be yourself. You don't have to prepare for anything. It is one sentence which I still remember. He told me was that एक खाका है. SSB is a khaka. It is a frame. And those who can pass through it are selected, and those who are maybe very sure, people who are small or people who are large, somebody who cannot fit in that frame will be rejected. However, I would say it was not the first attempt wherein I could clear SSB, Akash. My first SSB was in 2009, and
Okay.
because I wanted to be thoroughly prepared and I was very confident. I don't know, it was a wrong confidence, I would say. I was very confident, rather overconfident, कि मेरा तो हो ही जाएगा. एंड मैंने फिर CDS 2 दिया था 2009 का, और फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में ही रिटर्न मेरा क्लियर हो गया था. एंड आई डिड नॉट इवन अप्लाई फॉर CDS 1 ऑफ 2010 थिंकिंग दैट कि मेरा तो SSB क्लियर हो ही जाएगा. एंड इट सो हैपेंड दैट आई वेंट फॉर द SSB. I during the SSB, I found that, there are so many good candidates, even far better than me. और आप जब वहां पे जाते हो, there are so many tasks in GTO. जब ग्रुप डिस्कशंस होते हैं, ग्रुप प्लानिंग एक्सरसाइज होती है, आपका लेक्चरेट होता है, there is a lot of public speaking, and there is a lot of emphasis on leadership, wherein your power of influencing people around you is checked. तो वहां पे कहीं ना कहीं दूसरों से कंपेयर करके समटाइम्स यू लूज योर कॉन्फिडेंस. तो वो वाली चीज कहीं ना कहीं मेरे साथ हुई. एंड आई वाज कॉन्फ्रेंस्ड आउट इन 2009. तो मेरे पास, बिकॉज मैंने दूसरा CDS दिया ही नहीं था, तो आई हैड एंटायर 1 year अगेन टू प्रिपेयर. So I came back home and I went in self-introspection mode. I tried to find out what went wrong, where I went wrong, and I realized that my worst enemy was coaching. This might sound a little controversial, but I would say coaching is a place where they, expect you to mug up answers, because they give you answers to certain things. You as a candidate, you become desperate and you start mugging up those things. So I realized कि कहीं ना कहीं जो मेरा psychological test हुआ था वहां पे I was very confused because my personality was something else, and what coaching had taught me was very different. And I was, torn between these two sides. और वो पता नहीं psychology में क्या ही वहां पर निकल आया होगा, but this was my self introspection. Then, because I had entire 1 year ahead of me, I literally worked on myself. I joined many volunteer services. I volunteered for Teach India movement. I volunteered for Commonwealth Games in Delhi. So and then I started participating in all the college events, be it everything, be it anything, from singing to debate competitions to tech festival to painting and photography. So you name it, and I was everywhere. So that built up a lot of confidence of public speaking and facing the crowd and engaging with people and working in groups and teams. So in 2010 May, I gave my second SSP interview, and interview never felt like an interview. It was like a conversation, and my interview was taken by the chairman of SSP, and I would say, I will never forget my interview, because at the end of interview, the chairman said, "Beta, even if you're selected or not, just be the way you are and do not let anything change your personality." So I would take it as a compliment, because it was a big thing, in SSB, nobody talks to you so casually. So, and one more thing which I want to tell you is that uh, while I was giving my GTO, I just, there is a test in GTO which is called individual obstacle.
Yeah.
So there are obstacles and you have to go through it. And I had such strong and physically fit girls with me who not only competed but competed also. So like once you complete the entire circle, you can repeat certain obstacles if you want to. And I had done only 5 out of 10. And on the closing day of GTO, all 10 of us were standing, and GTOs are like always wearing aviators, and then they don't let you see where they are looking and whom they are addressing. But then GTO, in his closing address, he said, whomsoever I will recommend from here, I want her to work on their physicals before joining academy. And then and there I knew, because my interview was already done and I had already got a compliment. And GTO also kind of hinted that, somebody who's not done very well physically is being recommended. So I kind of knew that this time I'm through. So that was my SSB experience. I would say one learning from my SSB experience for anyone who want to join, who want to give SSB, is that you can literally work on yourself
Understood.
without coaching.
Got it, ma'am. Ma'am, if you could speak about, your perspective about officer-like qualities, that is OLQs, when you were preparing, and now that you have been an officer and retired, how do you look at OLQs and how can they be developed?
Yes. So I would say OLQ is not something that you can mug up. Like, anyone who wants to give SSB definitely knows about all the entire list of OLQs. But OLQ is not something that you can mug up. It is not something that you can copy from somebody else. I would say OLQ is something that you can only imbibe. And like I tell anyone, anybody who asks me how to, and there are so many people, for example, as a matter of fact, I was the first one from my entire family, from Dada's side, from Nana's side, to join army. And now we are a family of 8 officers. So anyone who asks me about SSB or OLQ, there's only one thing which I want to tell, is that OLQ is nothing but all those expectations that anyone can have from you as a good citizen of this country, right? So these are few things, that is expected from you as a good person. You need to be honest. You need to have integrity. You need to be responsible. You need to have initiative. You have to have courage. You have to have conviction, right? But our society over the years has degraded so much. There are so many vices in our society that it is very difficult to find such people. Otherwise, it should be there in all of us, right? So this is what I feel OLQ is. And I would say, if all of us feel responsible for our own actions, for people around us, if I feel responsible for my actions, I would not do anything wrong. If I feel responsible for people around me, I would not do anything harmful or hateful towards anyone. And if I feel responsible towards my country, then I would not do anything that would bring shame to my country, be it corruption or bribery or anything,
Yeah,
right? So this is what I feel as OLQ.
understood, ma'am. So, ma'am, if you could speak about your experience, you landed in OTA in the Officer Training Academy. How was your experience or any memories that you have which you would like to share with the audience?
There are so many funny memories and tragic memories. I can go on and on about it. But one word that explains the entire training is tough, very tough. And somebody like me who went from a metropolitan city, I was studying in Delhi University, and then I took admission in MBA. I was studying MBA from Amity University, and Amity, everybody knows what the impression of Amity University is. So I had never even ran 100 meters or 200 meters in my life, and then suddenly I landed up in OTA. And even if my uncle was in Air Force, he never told me how the training is or what the word ragda actually means. So it came like a shock, cultural shock and mental shock and everything. Life in OTA is very fast paced. Like, you don't know what hits you from dawn to dusk. And time literally flies because you don't have time to rest, you don't have time to breathe, you don't have time to eat. So it is very hectic. And yes, there are all kinds of trainings, not just physical. There is physical training, there is drill, there are clubs, there are sports, there is swimming, there are etiquette classes, there is academics. So you have all sort of training. And one thing is that once you go through that entire process, it is a process. I would not call it training, it is a process. So once you go through that entire process, it actually grooms you, and you go something else and you come out as a different person altogether. So I have devised a sentence for that entire training, which I say that the academy breaks you. It breaks you physically, it breaks you mentally, and it breaks you emotionally. And then it would collect all your broken pieces and make a new individual out of you. So you are not the same person when you pass out from the academy. You are not the same person at all. And there's so many things which you remember, later on, about academy, like running 42 kilometers with 27 kg weight. Somebody like me would have never thought of it in my entire life. So while you're doing all this, you feel so confident. When you see other people, like हम लोगों का जब रन बैक्स होते थे कैंप से, या हमारे रूट मार्चेस होते थे, तो रात को 10 बजे गो होता है, एंड मॉर्निंग तक आप पूरा दौड़ दौड़ के 42 किलोमीटर्स यू रीच ओटीए. सो योर स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट इज समवेयर इन द जंगल, एंड देन यू क्रॉस ऑल जंगल्स एंड यू कम बैक टू ओटीए. तो उस टाइम रात को जब हम लोग चल रहे होते थे विद ऑल दैट लोड एंड ह्यू एंड क्राई, भागो भागो चलो चलो, एंड इट इज ऑलवेज अ कंपटीशन, इट इज अ इंटर कंपनी कंपटीशन. सो यू हैव दैट जोश एंड जज्बा कि हमें ही जीतना है करके. एंड तो वहां पे ना छोटे छोटे हट्स होते थे लोगों के, और people are sleeping, they in their houses, lights are switched off, and some dim music used to play in their rooms. And I remember very vividly, I remember that जब मैं भाग रही होती थी तो मैं ऐसा सोचती थी कि यार इन लोगों की लाइफ भी सही है और हम लोग यहाँ पे मर रहे हैं, बिल्कुल खून पसीना निकल रहा है हमारा. There is one incident which was quite a funny incident, I would want to narrate. It is in Air Force and Navy. It is not compulsory to cut your hair. Not even in Army. It was not compulsory. But आपको एडवाइस किया जाता है कि आपने हेयर कट करा लें, बिकॉज लाइक आई सेड लाइफ इज सो फास्ट paced and you get all kind of ragda and everything. So it was very difficult to think of anything other than training. तो हम लोगों के जाते ही फर्स्ट डे ही हम लोगों के बिल्कुल क्रू कट हम लोगों को दे दिया गया था. Zajilla, by the way. Zajilla में there was a famous Major Anila Khatri. So now Lieutenant Colonel Anila Khatri, who is very famous on social media these days. तो वो हमारी प्लेटून कमांडर होते थे, और मैम आते थे एंड ही यूज्ड टू होल्ड अ हेयर लाइक दिस, एंड शी यूज्ड टू से कि अगर किसी के बाल मेरे हाथ में आ गए तो वो तो फिर गया. So our hair used to be this small. So what happened was, during our midterm, after you complete 6 months of training, there is a midterm break of 20 days. तो उस midterm break में मैं और मेरी buddy, both of us were from Delhi. So we took a cab and we were going towards the airport, and in between, we wanted to use the petrol pump's washroom, and we were going towards the ladies' washroom, and then we suddenly saw this petrol pump staff, rushing towards us and indicating कि आप गलत जगह जा रहे हो, boys का washroom उधर है. So they thought कि we are boys and we are going towards the girls' washroom, which was actually hilarious. We were we were in fits after that.
So, so once you got commissioned after OTA, if you could speak about, how does an ideal day look like in terms of your role, routine, and the responsibilities that you have as an army officer?
Okay, so similar kind of kahati and discipline. So you have to be at the right time, at the right place, in the right dress. So things are very systematic. They are very time based. morning mein you will have early mornings are dedicated to physical training. So all the units would have their PT parades, and then you'll have your office. In office, every unit has their own routine. EME का अलग होगा, signals का अलग होगा, तो infantry में अलग होगा, तो armored में अलग होगा, which is generally like handling documentations and training troops and maintaining their equipments and vehicles. So all these entire day goes on this, and the later part of the day we generally have games in units. So some units may decide to go for give free time for sports to their jawans and officers, and some units have officers in the evening also. So it is a mix of everything. But then you know generally मोटा मोटा फौज का काम यही होता है.
Understood, ma'am. So, if you could also speak about in your experience in the army, so have you come across any significant challenge and which you have overcome? If you could describe that.
Challenge, we throughout our training, we are trained to handle challenges. So I would say nothing actually feels like a challenge. But in my field of work, there have been challenges, but probably I would not go towards the work front of it. I'll give you a funny answer to this. The biggest challenge for any Fauji is to handle their relatives.
Mm,
Because the relatives, they have so many expectations from you. They do not understand कि आपको छुट्टी मिलती है नहीं मिलती है. It is not in your hand. और उन सबको चाहिए कि आप शादी में, बच्चों के जन्मदिन पे, घर के हर फंक्शन पे, होली पे, दिवाली पे, हर फंक्शन में आप होने चाहिए. एंड once you're an officer, people look up to you. So they want you to be present everywhere. You become an inspiration for others. But then it is very difficult to make them understand कि मुझे छुट्टी नहीं मिल रही. I'll tell you very honestly, like I got married in 2013,
okay.
and that is the only marriage I have attended in my family. So मेरी बुआ के दोनों बच्चों की शादी हुई है, मेरे दोनों चाचा के दो दो बच्चों की शादी हुई है. All these marriages I have not been able to attend because either I was on some exercise, either I was on some course, and it so happened that I could never be there for them. Similarly, I would say that from the day of my joining OTA rather, to the day of I getting posted to Delhi. My last posting was in Delhi, which is my hometown. Otherwise, this entire 12 years, I have never come home for a single Holi, single Diwali, single Raksha Bandhan. In fact, my younger brother, who is now in OTA,
Okay.
uh, he is 13 years younger to me. So I remember he was the one who used to send me Rakhi.
Oh,
Rather than I sending him Rakhi, he used to send me Rakhi because he would say, कि, Didi, Fauji aap ho, you are the soldier, you will protect us. So, which was a very emotional thing for a sister.
mm,
So, yes, it is very difficult to make your relatives understand these things. और एक और चीज जो होती है हम लोगों के साथ वो होता है कि once you become a officer in army, people think कि अब हमारी बेटी या बेटा फौज में है तो अब तो ये मतलब पूरे गांव को भर्ती करवा देगा.
mm,
जो कि नहीं हो सकता. It is not possible. Things are so clear and so transparent that you cannot influence any selection process. तो ये सब expectations are the challenges. बाकी सारी challenges तो we are trained to handle.
got it, ma'am. So, ma'am, we understand the amount of teamwork and brotherhood that is required. So, any experiences that you have from your life in Indian Army which you'd like to describe?
Any experiences, right? So when we starting from training itself, when we were in training, we are taught we are taught a principle that one for all and all for one. You would have heard of it
Yeah.
already. So which essentially means that one action by somebody, everybody is responsible for it. And if there is a rule for one person, then that rule is for everyone, right? So this is how the foundation of teamwork is built in Fauji's. And I would say teamwork and leadership both are they are the foundations of any team, and that is why, army units are called units, because you have
Mm,
to have unity, right? And when I was in college, I remember I used to read a lot about Sam Manekshaw,
mm,
and I was really very inspired by his way of leadership, which I would say is a top-down approach. He was always he was always a leader of his men.
mm,
So my approach in army was always, understanding my troops and understanding my subordinates more than trying to please my seniors. So that was the kind of leadership I follow, and I feel that, if you have that kind of a approach
mm,
in any team, if you're handling things from top down, sorry, if you're handling things from top down approach, things always, they automatically fall in place. So I would say, if I have to narrate an example, there are so many, because in our field of work, teamwork is even more important, because, in generally in infantry or artillery, there is a lot of difference between officers and jawans.
mm,
But in services, that difference is kind of, it diminishes.
mm,
So हमारे फील्ड में जवान या जेसीओ ऐसा ज्यादा, there is not a difference. All of us work as a team.
that's true.
And there have been so many cases, जहाँ पे कभी किसी जेसीओ की फैमिली में, या कभी किसी जवान की फैमिली में, या कोई भी दिक्कत है, परेशानी है ना, तो आपको वो चीजें समझ के, एज अ टीम, एज अ फैमिली, यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दोज थिंग्स. बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि लोगों को कुछ काम नहीं आ रहा
Mm,
है ना, तो देन एज अ टीम यू हैव टू टीच देम. इट इज नॉट लाइक आई एम एन ऑफिसर, दैट इज व्हाई आई एम टीचिंग यू. नो, इट
mm,
इज बिकॉज ऑल ऑफ अस आर अ टीम, एंड हम सबकी परफॉर्मेंस एक परफॉर्मेंस है, राइट? So I would say that to lead your men, to be able to imbibe that kind of a faith and trust in your subordinates, that tomorrow if you give them an order, they should not doubt your intent.
mm,
You know, uh, यहाँ पे तो मतलब इट इज नॉट लाइक एनी अदर कॉर्पोरेट और समथिंग, कि आपने बोला ये प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट करना है तो आपने कर दिया. In army, you lead people to war front, so
mm,
people should be ready to die
yeah.
for you. Die at your command, and they should not have a second thought about. तो उस तरह का कॉन्फिडेंस अपने अपने सबऑर्डिनेट्स में बिल्ड करना, दिस इज व्हाट इज टीम वर्क एंड लीडरशिप, एंड दिस इज द लिटमस टेस्ट ऑफ एन ऑफिसर. So yes, it is very important. Otherwise, our any defense force would fall apart without it.
Understood. Understood, ma'am. So, ma'am, coming to the the evolution of role of women in the armed forces. So, in during your time, how is this that gender dynamics has changed, evolved, and how do you see the future?
Okay, so I would narrate my own personal story from my first unit when I joined, which was around 14 years back. And from day one, I have been an advocate of gender equality, and equality in the sense, not that we are women, so give us 50% reservation. No, I am a woman. I'm equally good as men. Just give me opportunities and let me prove myself. That is all, right? So when I landed in my first unit, it was in Srinagar, and I got to know that I'm in a garrison where there are more than 2,000 men,
Okay.
and I was the only female. So at the outset, एक तो आप counter terrorist area में पहुंच गए हो सीधा, and then all you can see around you are men, and you are the only, I would say in Fauji language, you are the only specimen. So initially, when I started attending PT parades, and I used to run morning PT, all these sentry post jawans, they used to, turn back and look, कि ये क्या है? Who is this new thing in our garrison? And they would be so surprised. They would not wish me, they would not salute me, but they would just look at me and stare at me कि कुछ तो नया है. I'm not saying probably वहां पे मुझसे पहले women officer रही होंगी नहीं होंगी, but this was the kind of reaction I had from them. And slowly when they saw that I am no different, I'm attending office, I'm doing work walking shoulder to shoulder with other male officers, then they got used to of seeing me around.
Mm.
And I'd say there was a time, there is a movie, Gunjan Saxena, which was
Yeah.
released, and there was a lot of hue and cry around it because a lot of people had a lot of observations. There is a scene in that movie wherein, if you remember, this Gunjan Saxena, she has to change her dress and she does not have a separate washroom for women,
Yeah.
a separate changing room, right? And she makes her own makeshift changing room, and then so I could so much relate to that scene because Gunjan Saxena was they are talking about 1999 of
Mm.
Kargil war, but I became officer around 15 years later.
Mm.
And even then, in my first unit, or probably till 2016, I have not seen any separate washroom for women in army. So when people say that women ask for special privileges, no, we've never asked for any special privileges. We have always adjusted as any other person has, right? But definitely yes, there yeah, there has been a lot of change in army over the years. And I would say this onus of breaking this notion that women need some special kind of a treatment. When we talk about equality, there is always a reaction from the other
Mm.
gender that they ask for special privileges. They want to be treated specially. I would say, they will speak. People will speak, but the onus of breaking this notion lies on us,
Mm.
right? We have to break the notion with our work, with our dedication. Or uh, I'd say there is a example, there is a incident that happened with me. I'll just want to narrate that incident. I had got posted out from Kashmir and had got to this peace location. I went to this peace location new of field work, right? And maybe probably I without lunch or without having food, and from morning till late night. So when during one such incident when we were planning an operation, my senior JCO, he came up to me and he said, "Ke, ma'am, आप रहने दीजिए, आप रेस्ट करिए." And I was so, taken aback by his reaction. As कि why is he thinking कि मैं नहीं कर पाऊंगी? काम है तो काम सबके लिए है. Why is he thinking कि सिर्फ आदमी चले जाएंगे और मैडम आप तो छुई मुई टाइप हो तो आप रेस्ट करो. So then, after that, he saw me work from, carrying out midnight raids to, carrying out unit firing practices to even shooting better than your own commanding officer. I was a marksman in academy, so I love shooting. So your 2IC. So when men they see you like that, then that is a time when you generate respect from them, right? So this is how women have, they have built a place for themselves. And I would say today, everybody knows women are becoming command CEOs,
Yeah.
right? Women have got permanent commission. Women are giving tough competition to men in staff college, right? So it does not, this has not come easy to us. Nobody has given this place to us in a platter.
Mm.
Our predecessors, a whole generation of women has fought for it, and that is how we've reached till here. and I would say our successors, officers who are still serving and officers who will still join, they will have to carry this torch forward for us.
Yeah, good. So, ma'am, once you retire from the Indian Army, so what are the various opportunities that you have in the civil world which you can, venture into?
Yes. So, like I have been on the other side of the fence, so I know while you're serving and as a short service commission officer, there are so many anxieties about switching over to the corporate or so many insecurities, right? But I want to, tell everybody that there is no dearth of work in civil for army people. Thankfully, our society still respects Fauji's, and we are the best trained human resource for any corporate or organization. We are the most disciplined lot. We are the best leaders, right? So there are n number of opportunities, be it PSUs, be it MNCs, be it banks, or any other place. So yes, and feels like I've generally seen even when I was planning to switch, the notion that I had was okay, we will either have operations or
Mm,
security, as a field to go. But then I invested some time, and Akash, I have posted about this. I have written an entire article about it because I have seen, I have gone through that phase wherein I have seen my colleagues having so many doubts about themselves and about the fields that they can go to. So I want to put it across that there are so many fields apart from security. Please don't think that, you are not a security force, you are
mm,
leaders, right? So there are so many fields wherein we can explore our second career, like human resources, like operations, like supply chain, business development, business transformation, and hospital management, administration, uh, forensics, compliance, and investigations, public policy, governance, cyber security. There are n number of fields, and I can go on and on about it.
mm,
But the message here is that you need to do a self introspection. You need to identify your strength, do some kind of a reiki as to wherein you can fit in best given the experience you have, but just don't consider your experience as an experience in administration and security. you
mm,
know Most of the people are just running after these roles. But yes, and there are so many people who are reaching out to me on Instagram also saying that ma'am, SSC ke baad हमारा क्या career होगा. They're worried because
mm.
obviously there are so many people who are joining CDS, who are joining SSC, who are already working
Yeah.
outside.
Mm,
So they leave their jobs and then they come as SS officers, and then they feel that after 14 years, what do we do?
mm.
So yes, there are n number of opportunities. Nobody is sitting at home. Everybody will be, they will get the kind of roles they want to. It is just that you need some preparation.
Understood. Understood, ma'am. Ma'am, there's a lot of aspirants will be watching this. What will be your message to all of them who wants to join the forces, be it Army, Air Force, or Navy?
Um, so my messages, and recently somebody on Instagram was kind of telling me there was something which I posted about having to have options other than joining forces, right? Because this is a question which is asked every time in SSB interview, that what if you are not selected? And most of us take pride in saying that army is the only thing we want to join. There's nothing else we want to do in life. Which from my side, whatever, like I said, I have worked on myself for a year, and I want to tell it to people that this is not the right answer. You have to have passion for army, but you don't have to have desperation for army. There is a difference between passion and desperation, right? So there was this one person who asked me a question, and he said कि मैम मैं options कौन से बताऊं अपने, because
Mm,
बाहर तो ना jobs है ना पैसा है. So there are two things which I want to tell everyone, that फौज में if you want to come for पैसा, then sorry, this is not the place. And secondly, if you want to come for that power, you feel कि हम फौजी होंगे तो हमारे हाथ में बंदूक होगी तो हमारे पास पावर होगी. Sorry, this is not the place to come. You know, army requires dedication. It needs sacrifice, and it needs passion. You know, if you really want to serve your country without even asking anything in return, without even expecting moon from people, then you please come and join army. You know, if you think कि मैंने uniform पहन लिया and now the entire world should respect me, it doesn't happen that way.
Hmm.
You know, people who will respect you. But just because you are wearing uniform, you cannot expect कि अब सब मुझे रिस्पेक्ट करो. मैं फौजी हूं तो मुझे ये दो, मैं फौजी हूं तो मुझे वो दो, मैं एक सर्विसमैन हूँ, मैं ये हूँ. दैट इज अ रॉन्ग नोशन. So I would say that it is my choice. I want to join army. This is the kind of work that I want to do. You'll have to stay away from your family. Like I said, you'll have to miss festivals. You'll have to miss your, relatives and their marriages and everything. But then, if you think this is the kind of life you will enjoy, then please join army. But yes, no power, no money. This is not a job.
Hmm.
Army is not a job. It is not a career. It is not a job. It is a service to the nation. So take it that way.
Yeah. Got it, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for your time on this session, sharing your
Thank
experience.
you.
And I hope a lot of
Thank
people
you.
will get insight about how life in Indian Army looks like and how it's going to evolve for the women as well, from what you have described.
Yes,
So thanks again for your time,
yes.
ma'am. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Ankash. Thank you for giving me a platform to speak.
Thank you.